Greetings, Commanders. Today we are back with Phase 3 on how to make money as a brand new Commander. Today we're going to be focusing on mining. This is going to be your three main food groups in the game before you go out and start slaughtering people. Now, mining is going to be one of the more chill activities, and we're going to show you exactly how to find all the components that we're going to be needing. So today we're going to be using Inara. So how do you actually use that? Well, you click on Search Nearest. Currently, we're looking for outfitting. And we have it set to Python, 2D, mining lasers, 7A power distributor, and 7A power plant. This is going to be used inside the ship. And where are we at currently? We're in Capricorn B. Now, some stations do include a discount. However, since we don't have that much of a jump range, we're going to have a shorter distance to do things. So we're going to be keeping it relatively nearby. Now, there's a few things to keep in mind. The Stronghold Carrier in Capricorn B also sells what we need, but you have to align with a certain power for it. So that'll be your Grom. I can show you how to guys to do that, but we'll be going over to another system just in case you're not wanting to align with that power. While you're looking, you're going to notice, well, hey, this one's the next closest star. That's not too bad. But the star distance, so you're going to have to travel 15,000 LS away from it. Where if you head to like the Franklin Horizons, for example, this is 5 LS. So this is going to be right next to the sun, where this is going to be quite a long travel. So we'll probably be picking this one since it has everything we need and it's relatively close. So it should be as soon as we jump in, basically somewhere around there to drop out immediately. So then you just copy it. You head over to in-game. You go over to the galaxy map. Then paste it in. Now this is going to be 30.67 light years. So once you get inside the station, you're going to be heading to the Inter Astra. Today, we're going to be buying our first mining ship.
What are you in the market? Take all the time you need.
Now there's a few classic ships that most commanders should always own. And in my opinion, the Python is going to be one of those. It's going to be a really solid mining ship. It has really great handling. It's really good for core mining, laser mining, and it's just an all-around good ship. The Mandalay is also going to be another really good exploration ship. So if you had fun from last episode, this is another ship worth considering purchasing. Now we have a couple different options here. So we have the Python, which is going to be designed for mining. And then we have the Python Mark II, which is actually going to be designed for combat. So they're going to be a little bit different. You can also go with the Type 9 Heavy, but the Python is just a little bit more enjoyable in my opinion. So we're going to be going with the medium ship. You have a lot more options when it comes to speed. If you want the Type 9, you're more than welcome to use this same strategy for it. Alright, so once you get inside the menu, your goal is going to be to head into the outfitting. And just get rid of everything that was originally installed. So this ship has a big enough power plant and a power distributor where you should be able to handle all size 2 mining lasers. But we're going to go with 3 size 2 ones and 2 size 1s until you guys actually get fully engineered. The reason why we're doing that is because I don't think the power plant's going to be able to handle it without some engineering into it. So let's head over to the core internals. The power plant, this is where it's going to get a lot more expensive compared to yesterday. This is going to cost you 40 million to get the best one. Having the best power plant is going to help a ton though. Thrusters, this is your own opinion. You could have either the 6A or you can go with 6D. We're not really going to be going too far with this ship and it's going to give you a little better jump range. So let's go with 6D for the thrusters. Frameshift jibe, this is where your main jumps are going to be coming in. So this is totally up to you. I personally would pick 5A SCO, but you can go with a shorter SCO drive if you want. Like a 5D, for example, technically would work, but you'll notice that the max jump range is going to be much smaller. Have a D size life support. Power distributor, this is going to be another one that's really important, so go ahead and just grab a 7A. Sensors, we'll drop this down to a D. If you're going to be using it for combat, you can turn that to an A, but since this is going to be our mining version of the ship anyways, a D class is going to be perfect for that. Now when it comes to optional internals, we are going to move stuff around. So let's just store the slot 5 cargo racks since they're not in the right spots anyways. And we'll start here from the bottom. All right, so we have a cargo rack. We have Super Cruise Assist. It does not come with auto docking, so in this tutorial, we're going to skip that. And let's go and get rid of you. Now, Super Cruise Assist isn't really needed, so we'll get rid of that too. We're getting into the part in game where it's a little bit harder to like balance things with having a whole bunch of like basic functionality. So we're going to go with the detailed surface scanner. This is essential to scan the ring. And then you're also going to want to make sure that you have a prospector. Now, it doesn't matter what type of prospector it is as long as it's an A grade. So if you wanted to have it in a different slots, like for example, if you wanted a 3A prospector, it would allow you to shoot 2 limpets at once instead of just the 1. We're going to go with 1. So we'll do a 1A. You can buy a 1A, 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A, etc. You just cannot go anything less than A because it affects the amount of yield you get. Now for internal slot, the next one we're going to be going for is a refinery. This is another essential piece. Let's go and grab the 3A. That's going to allow us to have a hopper, and you're going to be able to refine the goods that we're mining while we're shooting. Then from here, this is where you can decide if you want to keep your shield or not, but let's go and restall the cargo rack that we originally took off. And let's get us some more storage up here. Now, for the slot 6s, I recommend just turning these into the better storage. For the 3rd slot, we're going to be putting in a shield generator. And you can grab either a 3A or a bi-weave. I usually use bi-weave a lot for like combat, but honestly, either one works. Bi-weave is going to be cheaper, so we'll go with that option. And then from here, now is when you can grab your multi-controller limpet. We're going to be buying an operations limpet. The reason why you want to do that, you're going to be noticing that it has a max active limpets of 4. So this is going to be more than your actual collectors could do. So we're going to grab one of you. Then for the internal, we're also going to be grabbing our collector limpets and then grabbing a 5A limpet controller. You can also grab a 5D. They're just going to have shorter range, so both of them work. This one will give you a little bit better jump range, but you'll notice that they have a shorter lifespan and they have a shorter active distance compared to the 7A. But both of them work for what we're doing, so that is totally up to you. A lot of people like the D class, or you can go with A for the better range and longer life. Now you're going to notice that we have a whole bunch of extra power left over. Well, that's because we haven't actually added in the hard points yet. So from here, we're going to be heading over inside of the mining tools category. Now there's a couple different mining setups. We have fixed, we have turreted. Fixed is going to do more damage, and we're going to be super close to the asteroid anyway, so we're always going to just grab the fixed. Now, we have done a guide on the channel before with the Python, but that was with a maxed out engineering build, so I'm trying to keep my tutorials a little bit more new player friendly over having that. And then for this, there's a total difference. So there's abrasion blasters, that's going to be for surface deposits, or you can go with mining lasers. That's going to be for what we're doing today. So make sure you grab your normal mining laser. Alright, so once you grab all that, we're going to be heading back over to where we came from. Now, this ship's not going to have as much jump range as the previous one, so it's going to take a few more extra jumps. But we're going to be heading over to Capricorn AB. Now, there is spots closer to the community event going on currently, but this is going to be the one with the least amount of combat, and it's going to take 2 jumps anyway, so it didn't actually affect our travel time. And you're back inside of the Omicron Capricorn sector. We're going to be heading over to Brunel City. From here, we're going to be picking up our limpets. Why did we not grab the limpets beforehand? Well, that's going to affect your jump range. The heavier your ship weighs, the worse the amount of jumps you're actually going to be able to make. So if you're wanting to have it get a little bit further distance, that's where being an empty ship is going to help a lot. Now, since you're just starting out, you're not going to have many options when it comes to having a cargo ship available to you. So if you're going to be working on this current community event, heading all the way over to Inderi, it is going to take you quite a bit of jumps once you have a maxed out cargo bay to get all the way over there. But unfortunately, there's no real workaround to that. You can find like a has site relatively close by to mine, but this is going to be quicker and it's also going to be much safer. So for anyone that's just starting out learning how to mine, this is probably going to be a better area to learn from. So from here, you're going to be heading over to the starport surfaces. And you're going to be heading to the advanced maintenance section. There are structures. We'll click on the restock limpets, purchase limpets, and then you can grab... Honestly, if you grab about 70% limpets, that'll be plenty. Or you can go maxed out. Either way works out. You're going to be dropping quite a bit of limpets, whatever you're getting full. So we'll just grab like 161, for example, to try to save on some money. Back out of that, grab some fuel. And then from here, we're going to be setting our navigation panel over towards the planet BB1, which is going to be this one found right here on the very bottom. The reason why we stopped at Brunel City is it's going to be on the actual star closer to it, where if you stopped at Martin Enterprise, that's going to be much further away, so it'll take you longer to get all the way over there. Once again, though, you could have technically bought everything from the fleet carrier if you had joined your Grom. And to do that, if you head over to your right side panel and then click on Power Play, this is where you can pledge to all the different powers and pick which one. Now, another option that you can do as a new player is you can literally join a power, use their benefits, for example, having it so he's able to use the fleet carrier and then leave the power. As you can see, I'm not actually joined fully with him, so that still allows me to work, but they do have ranks and they have different merits and different rewards that you get along the way, like a bounty pail, an exploration pail, and award and trade bonuses. So they have a lot of different perks available to you, so it is worth it eventually to knock all of your power play ranks out. That'll be a later on video, because we also need to be working towards that eventually. Now, when you're flying your Python, you're going to notice that it's going to have a lot more issues when it comes to heat using your SEO drive. This is an older ship before they actually use the technology in-game. So that means it's going to be bucking like a wild bull, and it's also going to be heating up much quicker. It's still a really good ship, it's just it's not going to be near as efficient as like the Mandalay or the Cobra Mark V, which are newer ships released after the SEOs came out. So it's a very easy way to tell whenever a ship just starts acting a whole bunch of crazy. You'll notice that the longer you're in it, the more your ship sort of like starts wobbling. And I apologize, but unfortunately, this planet is going to be directly next to the sun, so you're going to be extremely blinded every time you come over here. All right, so now that the planet is in sight, let's set up our firing group. So if we head over to the right side panel here, let's go ahead and set up a few now. So our third one is going to be on group 2. The reason why we want to do that is we want all the chunks on the bottom. Also, we're going to have it so the collectors are all linked together with our main mining lasers. Now, we have collectors at the top, but be sure to scroll down to the very bottom, because if not, you're not going to be using the collectors down here. Alright, so we have all of that scanned. Now, what else do we need to do? Well, we're going to be using Group B, which we haven't assigned anything to, and this is where we're going to be assigning our surface scanner. You can unbound this, that way you don't have to worry about it later. And then we're also going to be setting our prospector over to Group B as well. So once we get to the area, all we're going to have to do is swap modes and then get within range. Now you're going to notice for me, it has a whole bunch of the dots already. That's because we have scanned this ring multiple times. However, if it's the first time you've been here, you're not going to be seeing this detail. So you're going to have to get close to the ring itself. And then whenever it says you're going too fast, you want to pull back some. Then your goal here is going to be to shoot the ring with a probe. Once your probe hits the ring, it'll scan all the way around it, and then you'll have the data needed. Then you're looking for this platinum double hotspot, which is going to be an overlap right here. That's going to have increased yield. This is not the best platinum spot in the game, but it's going to be the closest one to where you're able to find it. So then if you're not able to find it very easily, you can also head over to the points of interest tab, and all of your information is also going to be found right here. So you're going to be looking for platinum spots that are right next to each other in the same distance away. To notice it's a little bit different. So if you were going to a Hazres site, you would actually have an option pop up saying you can jump out. However, whenever you're locked onto an actual hotspot themselves, this is more of just a general location on where the goods are found, and it's not going to have it so you can knock out. So you're just going to fly manually into the zone, and it will say dropping too close. As a quick verification, you can look around and see how far you are from the actual hotspot. We're 70 kilometers, so we're not that far away. Our goal here is going to be pulling our hard points out, then swapping over to Group B. Now we have a prospector. You can also head over to the right side panel, head to your ship, and you can turn on your night vision and your external lights. This is going to allow it so you can see a little bit better. When it comes to laser mining, it's relatively simple. All you have to do is head over to any of the asteroids themselves. You're going to shoot the asteroid with a prospector, and then you're going to target your prospector. You are not going to be shooting the prospector itself though. So the prospector's job is going to be to see what's inside the asteroid. It's also going to get a higher yield. So if you're just blind firing, technically you can get commodities. However, it's not going to be the best amount that you can possibly get. For example, this one had 22%. That's not horrible.
Asteroid scan complete.
So when it comes to asteroids, you'll find them from like 5% all the way up to 63%. 29% is not too bad though. So now we're going to swap over to Group A. Now, why do we have one laser set to Group 2, and which one was it? Well, we have the third laser down. That's going to be set to Group 2. That's going to be firing after everybody else. The reason why that is going to be able to get all the chunks below us. Now, before we actually open up our cargo bay though, we're going to shoot the asteroid some, and then we're going to get some chunks. Our goal here is going to be to have on the ignore list gold, prismadium, and everything else that isn't platinum inside this area. So we'll shoot that, and then you'll notice all the chunks should be starting from the bottom. So from here, we're just going to have it set up for a little bit. Let's swap over to fully weapons. Now, before you deploy your cargo hatch, you can head over to your contacts panel, and from here, for example, you can add gold to the ignore list. You can add the prismadium. It looks like that's all the chunks. And now we drop our cargo bay. The only thing that it's going to be gathering is the platinum itself. So if you stay above the chunks, it'll have your limpets have the least amount of distance to grab. So that's going to mean it's going to be filling up your ship quicker. And your goal here is just to keep shooting the asteroid until it gets down to 0%. You don't want to heat up past the 95%. With this build though, it looks like it is maxing out. We are having some thermal overloading issues though. Once again, this is with a fully unengineered build. Eventually, you'll be able to have much better components, which is going to allow it to shoot much longer. Then once your ship has collected all of the platinum, you're going to notice that your limpets are going to be circling you. So from here, you just head back over to Group B and do the same thing all over again. But to verify that you have only platinum, you head over to your inventory, which is on the right side panel. You scroll down to your hopper, and it should just show platinum. If it doesn't, you can go and drop it here. And this is where you can also drop some of your limpets to make sure we have room. And it's that simple. That's all you're going to have to do to laser mine inside of Elite Dangerous. Your lasers are going to have an overheat issue since we don't have our power plant and our power distributor upgraded any. Well, there's a 43% right there.
Asteroid scan.
For more advanced people, you can also do it with flight assist off and fully circle around the asteroid, or also get the angle. Now, they are going to be slowly spinning, so don't get too close to the point to where you're going to get your ship beat up. We do have a shield just in case, but we don't necessarily want to be relying on our shield. And if the chunks seem to be dropping from the other direction, then just have your ship do a complete 180. That way the bottom of the ship is faced towards the chunks. That way you're able to gather them much quicker. And if you ever get a thermal overload, just wait for your lasers to fully cool down. That's way you're able to keep on shooting. The way this build's set up, it's not going to be the fastest way to crack open an asteroid, but you're not going to ever overheat. It's going to be that simple. Now, eventually, once you get your Python upgraded, we have another guide for beginners once you have some engineering done, and that's going to allow you to go from our 3 size 2 mining lasers all the way up to 5 size 2, which means it's going to open up the asteroids much quicker. That way you're able to fill up your cargo bay. But as you guys can see, we have some platinum. So let's head over towards just like Capricorn B so I can show you guys. Let's head over to Martin Enterprise just so I can show you guys how to actually sell once you have your platinum. Now with the current community event going on, you're going to have to sell all the way in the Andari system, so it is going to be a little bit further away. Now the same idea also works with like a Type 9 Heavy, for example. You're just not going to have the nimbleness of the Python. But if you wanted to start with the Type 9 Heavy, you'll be able to have a lot more storage. And then from there, you'll be able to do basically the same thing we did. You don't want to have too many size 2 lasers to the point that it's going to be overheating your ship. So pay attention to your heat management. As long as you're able to have a decent amount of lasers, shoot the asteroid and not overheat yourself, then you're good. If it has the overload issue, unfortunately, that's going to be something that'll be fixed eventually with engineering, so you're not going to be able to force it too much. The components usually don't start taking damage till you get to about the 95% or hotter, so as long as you keep it below that, you should be okay. And always have your pip set to weapons fully, that way you're not going to be running into any weird issues. If you wanted to avoid the overload issue though, you could run with less lasers. The problem is though that you're going to run into a weird thing to where it's just going to take longer to crack open an asteroid. So the more lasers you have, the quicker you're going to be able to crack the asteroids open and the quicker you're going to be able to make a profit. That's why we go with 5 typically. They also have pre-engineered size 1 lasers, which we have a guide on how to get to them. They're super easy. It's just going to take a few like combat missions inside the area to unlock them. They're going to be a lot more heat efficient. So that'll also help this build out. If you head over to that video, I'll make sure to link it down there. And you guys can go get yourselves a little bit better size 1 lasers. Hopefully that'll prevent some of the issues without needing too much engineering, but you are going to need a standard combat ship, so you might want to buy like a Crate Mark II for that. But assuming that you just have a couple ships in the game, this is what we're going with for so far.
Ship is on the ground, engaging docking restraints. You are most welcome.
Alright, so from here, you head over to the commodities market. What are you trying to do? We're trying to sell. Scroll down, and then you're going to notice your numbers are going to be over here on the side. Currently, this is only buying for 53,000, so it's not worth it at all, but yeah, we'll make 797,000. That's near the amount that we could have actually made. So how do we do it the proper way? Well, what are we trying to do? We are trying to sell, so let's head over to stations. Sorry. Under the data tab, head over to commodities. Then we want to sell. Where are we at? So currently we're at Omicron. Capricorn B. And we want to sell platinum. Then click search. Now from here, once again, we have a distance, we have a start distance, we have a demand, we have a price, and we have updated. So I would recommend having view additional options. Now, depending on if you're in a certain size ship. So if you're in a large ship, make sure you have minimum landing pad set to large if you're wanting to sell in that ship. If you're in a small to medium ship, then it won't really matter because most places have a landing pad for us. And also another thing that you could do is instead of having it set to 30 days, maybe have it set to the last 7 days, search it. That's going to keep the most accurate information and filter out a lot of really old data. So from here, we're going to be paying attention to the demand. We're also going to need to be noticing the distance. So it looks like there's a few fleet carriers inside the area. So once again, let's filter by options here. Now, the reason why I'm turning off fleet carriers, since you are a newer commander, you want to be able to sell to an in-game market. Why? Well, you're going to be getting credit for your elite reputation, which will eventually get you access to a place where you're able to get a huge discount when it comes to buying things. So that's going to be your eventual goal, is to get any of your categories to elite. Trading is going to be the quickest one, and it's also going to be the easiest one to get to based on mining. All right, so the price set. So it looks like 58 light years away, we're going to have one with a demand of 355, which isn't exactly the best one. And if you hover over this area here, but since it has a low demand, I would pick either Anthony Station. It says 3,000 a day ago, so it's possible that was filled already. Or you can go with a more locked-in guaranteed one, which would be this Okayama Station. This is going to have a demand of 115,000 and it's paying 218,000 credits. That's going to be the best way for you to determine where you're wanting to sell. Now we're filtering by price, and once again, this is going to be star distance also factored in. But considering the fact that all of them have a low-ish demand, which is notified by the red, we're sort of stuck setting it to this one as our best option currently. Then if we scroll down the list, you'll see that everything else is paying much less. Now it is going to be dependent on which area you're in. If you're in a different system, however, then it's going to be acting totally different. So for example, if we're going to be selling inside of the community goal area, you're going to notice that Malsberg's going to be paying 330k. Then they have a whole lot of different options here. So once again, we'll filter by price at the top, and you can see where the best ones are. When community events are going on, they always have a maxed out demand, so that's the best place to always sell, and it's going to be paying much higher over average compared to most people. But I hope this guide helped you guys figure out how to start get mining with a unengineered ship. If it did, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one, Commanders. Thursday night, we'll be doing some exploration live, and then Friday, we'll be doing some Thargoid combat. I will see you guys in the next one. Hope everyone has a good afternoon, evening, and morning.